And this video, I'll try to keep it as short as I can, uh, is to introduce you a little bit to lighting and also to introduce you to something I've had out there for a while in various places, but I decided to give it a serious uh, update, and to improve things a bit, provide some presets and some easy ways to work. And it's called the Ring Flash Cam. Now, one thing about these presets, if you pick this up, and I hope you do, because it really is very handy, there's something else to be aware of. Let's just select soft light. Doesn't matter which one. After you have this installed, let's say that you're over here in another folder. You've got, you're working with your character, and you want to change a light, but you don't want to scroll and find where the cameras are. Here's where Daz's custom action comes in handy. There are several things that I keep in scripts. One is to just load a basic Genesis, hey, female. Another is to apply an Uber base. And we have an A pose default. And Ring Flash Cam is in here. And I've got these presets, the same ones that you see here, not the scripts, but the presets. Although I could load the scripts, I suppose. And here I can just load a fresh camera. I can change the intensity. See that? So now, let's say you're up here, you're playing with this stuff, you want to see how it looks in pink. Okay, it looks pretty good, but let me do something with that light. You can go to intensity low, and now all of a sudden you have that without having to, leave this and go find your ring flashes. So the way you do that is real simple, real dumb simple. Whatever it is that's over here in your content library, you hover, you right click, and you say create a custom action, and there you go. So if you have a sub menu, I'm going to cancel that so we can show it. I've got a sub menu Ring Flash Cam. See? But now if I decided, well, I'm always going to be using this product, whatever that product may be, whether it's whether it's Ring Flash or whether it's anything else, it doesn't really matter what it is. Right click, create a custom action. It's better to go ahead and put I've got useful poses here. I could put Ring Flash Cam. You can create a whole new one, and then you just hit accept. And when you hit accept, it immediately, as soon as you do that, it will immediately show up here. Okay? You can aim it, see? So if you have, well, that's already selected. So you can frame select on the character immediately, if you do it that way. And then you can just dolly, do what you need to do, right? Let's select the soft light, because that selects the actual mesh light itself, not the camera, right? The ring flash. And now you can use the morphs to do what you want to do. Is that the soft light I'm on? It is. There it is. Okay, and the reason is I've got that really wide because it's a soft light. Okay, so we can go like that, and now you have a very focused light. The point is, and I'm hoping I'm coming across here without yammering too much. You see how that changed things? Now you have a very focused, soft light, and it's focused mainly just right in this area, right here. And one way to figure out where it's focused is to, and that was the soft light, go ahead and just hide it. And there you go, see? So it's lighting up the right side, her right, our left, of her face, and the shoulder, and the upper chest. Not very much, okay? But that's easy to change. So there are several ways to adjust these lights. Not only do you have sliders here. Okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to widen it up again. And that's lagging a little bit because we're in iRay preview mode here. I want you to be able to see how things change. And you see how that gave her an overall soft kind of a light. And so then let's just say we can go to the key light here where we are, and we can narrow that up. And then we can dolly out a little bit. So you have these basic presets in terms of intensity. And if you want to fine tune that, the easy way to fine tune it without going into surfaces and emission is simply, and this is another one of the nice things about having it parented to a camera, is to go into your aux viewport, look through that camera, and then just pull it in, push it out. They call that dollying, okay? Dolly it in, dolly it out, and that gives you really fine control over how it looks. This is lagging a bit because I have a really high resolution character in the background. There's water droplets and all that kind of stuff. Let me just get rid of all that, and that'll help. And as you all probably know, iRay preview mode, even if you make something disappear, quote unquote, it doesn't update the iRay preview mode all the time. It depends on how much it has to think about. So what we do is you just pop the texture and then pop back into iRay. And you'll see when it comes up, that'll be restored. I do have some fairly dense textures in this image, even with that stuff hidden. The lampshade, for instance. I'm going to show you, just because you're here, you may or may not already have this product. It is you're getting to see some of the back-end information here. Those are my wavefront files when I was developing the product. Anyway, it's the sleepover bundle, the sorority sleepover set, okay? And if you go to iRay Colors, down at the bottom, there are two scripts. One is to edit what the wording is on the panties. And in this case, it is Chi Theta Delta, COSAM 3D. The other one is the shirt. Now, what this is going to do, if you double click this, it'll open a PSD, a Photoshop document, in whatever program on your system that is associated with. It may be Adobe Photoshop, it may be the GIMP, or some other program that can handle those. And so if I do that, you see this pops up right away. I already had it open, okay? And then you can take your UV layout, which lines up perfectly, okay, of course, and then I shower next. And then the process is you go ahead and hide that again because you want to make sure that you put it in the right place. Save the file, Control S, saves the file. And then you go over here and you hold down Control and hit I. That refreshes the image. And now it says I shower next. And what we can do is we can change that. We can change that to say anything we want using our various type tools. If you go to the product page on Renderosity for the sleepover set, this College Boy and there are a couple of other fonts that I use to develop this are available at 1001freefonts.com. They're free for personal use, so I can't include them in this product. But you can download them and do like I did. When you're there, just go ahead and make a small donation to the artist. They all have a little button that you can donate to them, a couple bucks. And, if you're using it and you're getting some use out of it, you can afford $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 to give to them. Just, go ahead and shoot them a little bit of money just to say thank you. And it helps them. Right here, you can get a better idea of the fall off. Okay, when I've got that other stuff out. Now that you've seen that, and then you come back to this with the difference, and we made some changes to the key light, you can see how much better the fall off is. Okay, if you look at her skin, then let your eye track out to the edge of her skin on any side. On your left, it'll be more pronounced in this particular setup. You can see what I'm talking about, and that gives depth. That makes your image look three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. And HDRIs typically, because of the nature of what an HDRI is, it takes away depth, okay? Then you have to have some really solid texture stuff going on. and material stuff going on the subject, whether it be a character or something else, in order to regain some of what you lose. And HDRI gives you a very fast render time, a very fast render time. But it just doesn't give you the depth. It doesn't give you a three-dimensional look to the subject. Okay, this type of lighting will, a 3 or 4 light setup, even a 5 light setup. Another advantage I just want to point out real quick. God, I meant for this to be like a 5-minute video. It's turning into 5 hours. But if you look at her eyes, you can see there's a little bit of speck, there's a specularity in her eyes. Ring flash does that. It's just an extra bonus. And that's not even with a ring flash setup to be looking right at her. If we wanted to do that, we could do it. We can just go to the, not sleepover bundle, go here and load this. Just load a new ring flash, okay? And now let's go here and it'll just say ring flash cam. Have her head selected, we'll frame select on her head, and then we'll roll there and we'll roll back, okay? And in order just to get specularity, this light does not have to be at a very high intensity level. In fact, we'll just go ahead and, excuse me, when I talk too much, I get to where I feel like I need to burp. I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Ring flash 5, and we're going to give it a low intensity. Okay, and now if you look right in the center of her pupil, you can see the reflection of that ring flash we just added. And because it's at a low intensity and we've dollied it out, it's not changing the lighting much, if any at all. It's just, it puts something there for her to reflect out of her eyes. And also, if we were to take our soft light, any of the lights that are in front of her, in the front 180 degrees, we can adjust them in such a way where you're going to get good specularity. There we go. You see that? And as that resolves more and more, you get a much finer specularity. So that's just a bonus. And this also added to the fall off. Okay. So it gave it even more depth. Let's just go to camera. And there you go. Now look at her eyes popping out. See that? I just think it's a nice feature. I came up with this several years ago for my own use. But I had several pieces and they were parented in various ways. I experimented with things. And finally, my business partner says, look, I love this ring flash. Why don't you market it? I said, well, it's not ready to market. It's something that I use because I like it. He said, well, other people will too, of course. So I thought, well, all right. So now it's time to actually do things like create more files instead of just using these, and maybe some nice icons so that you can see, and writing these scripts and all that good stuff. So there you go. That's the ring flash cam, and that's the setup for it. And also, hopefully, you learned a little bit about lighting on this. And I just want to hit. There are two. Think of them as quotes, okay? That I want to leave you with when it comes to lighting, and both of them are quotes that I learned when I was doing photography, okay? This is a quote from a photographer by the name of Kappa, C-A-P-P-A. I believe his first name was Frank, but I could be wrong about that. He was a famous photographer in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, 1930s, 40s, and 50s. He was a combat photographer in World War II also. And was gifted. And he had a famous quote that has always stuck with me. I read a book that featured his work, and his most fundamental rule was, if your pictures are not good enough, you're not close enough. And he means that. And that is absolutely correct. It's the most basic rule of putting an image together. Okay, you have a subject. Think of Daz Studio just think of it as a camera. It's maybe the best camera you'll ever see in your life, okay? I've shot with a lot of different cameras, digitals. I shot film Hasselblad, one of the classic 50s with the the Zeiss barrel, chrome barrel lens, the 50 millimeter, and other lenses with the Hasselblad as well. And let me tell you, this is the best camera you will ever find. Unfortunately, it simply won't shoot pictures of the real world. But you're in 3D, so you don't care about that anyway. Think of this program as a camera. It's a camera. And when you're taking a picture of something, okay, you want to be close enough to your subject. Okay, you want to frame your subject up in such a way that that is the focus of the picture. Okay, so let's go back to camera. And you can see that while there's some outliers here, okay, I'm in fairly tight on the character. And that's, I want to be close enough. I want to be close enough for these parts of the image to tell a story and not to get lost. That is the one thing that I find when I look at, I never get into render contests at any broker because frankly speaking, I don't have time to do renders. I just don't have time for it. I wish I had time because I love it. It's what got me into this in the first place, was my love of making images. And now I'm a content creator. Excuse me. And that takes up so much of my time, I don't often get a chance. But at any rate, we're tight on this subject. It's not just this character. It's Addie back here in the shower. And when you add this in, I shower next, it tells a kind of a humorous, a little bit of a risque story. Okay, as well as the look on her face. But if you really want to tell a good story, you want to tell a story about what kind of a mood this character's in, and if I wasn't doing a story about lighting, if I wasn't doing a video, about lighting specifically, I might do something like this. You get that and you go, well, that's not bad. It actually cuts off side of her head a little bit over here. But what it does is it makes you feel like you are drawn into that scene. You're drawn into that world, and you don't feel like you're on the hook for anything because the character's not looking at you. You see that? She's looking at something over your shoulder. You see that? And she's got some kind of a look on her face. In this case, we just have Addie back here taking a shower. We could have any number of other things going on back there that might help complement or explain the look on her face. And the reason we can do that is because very quickly you saw we just drew it really tight. And you can change that story. You can change that story just by changing the angle of the camera. If you stop and think about it, it's a conceptual thing. Okay? Let's go ahead and put where she's looking straight at you. Okay? And now you let the person looking at the image make up their own mind what she's trying to say. What is the story here? Why does she have that look on her face? And there's a beautiful woman in the background through the window. Maybe she's in the apartment next door. Who knows what she is? But you're telling a story. You're telling a story because you are focusing only on the elements of the image. And lighting is crucial to that. You have to have depth to the image. The other thing I want you to understand, first is if your picture's not good enough, you're not close enough, Frank Cappa. And this is another one that has been said over and over and over by lots of people. I have no idea, but it's specific to rendering and photography. Shadows make light work. Light is useless without shadow. You have to have shadow. You have to have negative space. You have to have light and dark elements in the image because that's what gives it depth. If you look at this right here, this preview window, you can see that you've got at least 4 layers. You've got the character's face, the one that's closest to you, and then you have that little area behind with the blinds and then the bush outside the window, and then you've got what's going on with the character who's in the shower, and then you have the night beyond that. There are 4 layers. The economy of line, as the Japanese call it, call it, that has to do with art, an economy of line, elegance. That's what elegance means. Elegant isn't Baroque or fancy or complicated. Elegant is simple by definition. You want to stay elegant. You want to stay clean with an economy of line. Don't have too many visual elements in. Always start by trying to take things away. When you get a lot of stuff into a picture, start taking away a light. Take away a light here. Take away a visual element. Just make it disappear. Make everything disappear. Bring things back in one at a time. And when you feel like you have the balance right, that means you do have the balance right. You'll know. And there's just enough in the image to tell the story, but not too much to overwhelm the camera. Then it just looks like somebody's just trying to throw a bunch of stuff into a junk sale. See what I mean? Always, always, always keep that economy of line in mind. And lighting, as I said, is crucial to that. I hope that this video was not too helter-skelter, okay? And I hope that you learned something by it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe. I use this channel for the most part to help explain my products. But I also like to think that other people drop in and take a look and learn a few things. So like and subscribe. I don't care. I don't monetize this channel. I don't care if I get 10,000 subscribers or 1,000,000 subscribers. That's not important, but it does let me know that somebody's paying attention and that you got something out of it. So please do that if you did. Until the next time, this is Kazam from Kazam 3D wishing you happy rendering.